Good morning. Okay, well, good afternoon. It is now Monday, September 28th, and it is the start of the Kindle wrap-up readathon. I am excited about this one. I really don't know what to say because I just woke up and I haven't read a damn thing. But I just wanted to say hello and do an intro. Sorry for the messy room in the background. I am going to be reading The Melody and The Billionaire Wins the Game on Audible. I hope that's not cheating, but you got to use Audible Escapes while it's still there, and it was on it, so I went ahead and grabbed it. Hey y'all, so it's quite a bit later. Obviously, excuse the no makeup, wet dog look that I've got going on right now, but since it is later, I do have an update for you. I ended up reading The Redemption by Lauren Rowe. This audiobook, I was actually already halfway through it, and I really wanted to finish it before getting started on all of my new books. So I ended up listening to about 3.5 hours of audiobook to finish The Redemption. Just want to give a quick update to tell you that I gave it 3 stars. I wasn't a huge fan. This was book 3 in her The Club series, and I will be talking about this quite a bit more on my wrap-up for this month. And then I have started, and I am about halfway through with The Billionaire Wins the Game, I believe is the title of this book. And this book's a fucking train wreck, guys. So it is about a girl who is extremely poor but has a heart of gold, and a billionaire who has just taken over for his father's big Fortune 500 type of company, and he is now the CEO, and he is very kind of a moody, grumpy hero. It's not really hate to love, but it is kind of dislike to love sort of thing. Because he is so moody, he's very jaded in the fact that he thinks that women are out just really for his money, and so he uses women in their bodies, but he doesn't really think that he's being like an asshole or misogynistic, because he thinks that he's able to give them things that they enjoy, like jewelry and whatnot. One of those kind of guys. And she is kind of not like the other girls. Once again, his body like literally sizzles when he touches her. He's got 2 younger brothers that are both gorgeous. He is gorgeous, but supposedly no other woman out there would like him for him, and they just all want him for his money, which is kind of stupid trope, but whatever. It also has a father figure, his father, who also has a heart of gold. Him and his mother have been together their entire lives, and now he is looking for a wife for his kid, so he's playing matchmaker. She ends up finding a guy best friend at work, and of course he has to be gay, because why not have that trope in there? I've just gotten to the scene, like I said, I'm about halfway through. I've just gotten to the scene where she is staying. He had to go and rescue her from her house because, of course, her house is like the worst, just like condemned type of a home. And so he finds out she's living there, and he goes and he rescues her. And she is now living at this huge, beautiful estate out in this kind of like guest house. And he goes out there to give her something and like sees her in a towel, and he is like immediately obsessed whenever he sees her in a towel. Like he can't keep his hands off of her, and so they immediately go at it, and he like just thrusts inside of her, and oh wow, shock, gasp, she's a virgin. So this book is a fucking train wreck. Yeah, that's really all I gotta say about it. It's a train wreck. I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay, so I just finished The Billionaire Wins the Game by Melody Ann, and I'm gonna give this 3 stars. So it definitely has a ton of cliches, including surprise pregnancy, which I have to say is kind of like a secret pleasure of mine. I don't know why. I know tons of people hate the whole secret pregnancy trope, but I actually enjoy it. This was a really bad train wreck, but surprisingly, I didn't hate it. It was kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I actually ended up enjoying it. So, it wasn't like the best written thing ever. It was tons of cliches, but I enjoyed the writing. I enjoyed the family aspect of it. So yeah, like I said, I don't hate it. I'm actually gonna give it 3 stars, and I may even read the next book in the series. We'll see. Like I said, it's nothing like amazing or great, but I still enjoyed it. So that is that. I am going to go ahead and move on to my next book, which is the shortest book on my Kindle. And I don't remember the name of it. Something about a biker. So I will update you whenever I'm done with that one. So it is now Tuesday, and I have some more updates for you. Last night, I finished reading Craving Her Biker by Juniper Lee. So I don't know what I was expecting. This book is only 26 pages long, and I thought it was like a second chance relationship between her and her husband. It's an MC romance, and it's about a girl whose mother calls her and says, your father's in the hospital, he was beaten, and we don't know if he's going to make it. So she rushes back home. She has a toddler, and as soon as she gets there, she immediately sees her mom with her husband. She hasn't seen her husband in like a couple of years. She left whenever her baby was just like almost newly born because she didn't want that life for her son. And so she's left and she's living her own life. And she hasn't been with anybody since her husband. But her husband almost immediately asked her to come back, to come home and stay home. And it was like kind of hinted that he may be sleeping around with other people, like because she left him. It all takes place in like one day. They sleep together, and she ends up stitching some guy up who's a fighter. They have like this underground fighting ring or whatever. So there's like this side storyline. And it was okay. I gave it 2 stars. Like, it wasn't the best writing. There really wasn't much of a plot. I don't know what I was expecting with only 26 pages, but it wasn't wonderful. So I actually would have given this 3 stars, but something happened, and there's a prologue for the second book, and it's all about her sleeping with this fighter guy. Like, not her husband, but just like sleeping with this other guy. And that just made no sense to me, because I thought this was like a second chance relationship. But how is it going to be much of a relationship if she's going off and sleeping with some other guy? So that really wasn't for me. I won't be continuing on with the series. And then last night I started Cut So Deep by Stasia Black. I mentioned during my TBR video that I didn't really know much about what this book was about. And that was very evident whenever I got into the actual storyline. I got like 2 chapters in and I DNF'd it. This book was just not for me. It is a very dark romance about a girl who is desperate. She has a toddler as well, and she is desperate for a job. She's got a really creepy landlord, and he is like hinting that he's going to be taking payment out in some other form or fashion if she can't pay him. And she's desperate for this job. It's at some kind of a tech genius place. And she gets an interview with the CEO. And he is like automatically asking her to like take off her clothes like during the interview. And this is supposedly after like the Me Too movement and all of the Harvey Weinstein stuff. And like all of that is mentioned. And so she does. But she like is oddly turned on by it during the interview. But it's her relationship with some other guy, like his rival, but she's still sleeping with him this whole time. I don't know. That book wasn't for me. So I DNF'd that one. Maybe people who are into dark romances would enjoy this book, but it just was not my type of book. So I put that one down, and I am going to start Liar Liar by Donna Alam. And so I will let you know what I think about that book as I get into it. Have y'all ever had one of those days where your intentions started out really good and you had a plan for the day and all these things you were going to do, and then you sat in front of the TV for like 4 hours and didn't do shit? That's kind of what happened to me today. Like, I was planning on reading 2 or 3 books, scanning in some more photos, doing all this stuff. And then I sat in front of the TV and I watched The Talk and Let's Make a Deal and Dr. Phil. Like, it wasn't even good TV. It was just trash. Yeah, it's been one of those days. I haven't read a thing, but I needed to update you guys on something, so this is my update. I will update you again once I actually decide to start a book. Hey everyone, quick update. It is now Wednesday night. Yesterday I basically read nothing. I did end up getting to 20% of Liar Liar by Donna Alam. I almost DNF'd this book right whenever I first started reading, like within the first chapter, just because I actually had to look. I kind of thought I was like jumping into a middle of like a series or something, because the book kind of starts off really weird. It starts off like mid-conversation between a girl and her best friend over the phone, and they start bringing up names and stuff, and it's like people I don't, obviously I have no clue who they are. So it almost felt like to me like I was like jumping right in the middle of a series. I actually looked on Goodreads to make sure this wasn't like number 2 or number 3 in the series, but it wasn't. So I figured I'd give it a little bit longer, and I'm glad I did, because so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm 20% through. The writing style is a little odd to me, and it's taken me a moment to get into it, but now that I'm into the story, I'm enjoying it so far. We will see how it goes. Like I said, I'm only 20% of the way through it. And then today I did a whole bunch of scanning photos. While I was doing that, I listened to 2 audiobooks. I listened to For 100 Nights and For 100 Days, both by Laura Adrian. I am now on the 3rd book, which is For 100 Reasons, and this is the 3rd and final in the trilogy. This series is kind of a billionaire romance. It's very basic. It kind of follows along with the very typical tropes that billionaire romances have. Poor girl, extremely rich guy. Girl has a past and a history. So does the hero of the story. And including with the hero, he had a previous relationship with an older woman. So it's really following along the lines of like a 50 Shades book. But these are my kind of like guilty pleasure reads, where they don't require a lot of energy to listen to them. Like, there's just not a lot of brain function that you need to read this book. It's super simple to get through. I'm listening to it at 3 times the speed. I've already finished 2 of the books. I'm going to go ahead and get through this 3rd one. Very unrealistic. Way too convenient how things have worked out. The ending of the 2nd book was kind of interesting, so I'm definitely curious to go ahead and go along and see what we have coming up. But that is what I've been doing so far, and I will update you probably tomorrow. Okay, so I don't have another book update quite yet. What I do have is a life update. So have you ever had one of those moments where you just like never really thought of your grandparents other than being your grandparents? Like, you didn't think of them as having lives before you or histories before you. I was today years old whenever I found out that my grandfather was a slut. I'm talking straight up player. I've got his World War II photographs that I'm going through, and y'all won't believe some of the stuff that I am finding. I'm talking, we got photos of him with some naked hula girls from Hawaii. We've got photos of him with different girls all over his lap. My granddaddy was a player. What? That surprises me, but also, like, I'm kind of sad that I didn't really know this before now, because I would have been giving him so much hell whenever he was alive. So frustrating. Some of my grandpa's old World War II pictures. That is my grandfather. This is him with his slutty ways.
I just thought that this photo was hilarious. There's a whole bunch of this dude dressed up in a bikini. And then another one of him with his lady friend. My knockout of a mother back when she was my age. My grandparents' wedding day. Five generations of family in one photo. Hey y'all, real quick update. It is now Thursday evening. I haven't read anything today. I have actually had to take my mom to several appointments and do some stuff where I just really haven't had a chance to read it all. What I have been doing today, though, is going through, and because Audible Escapes is ending, like you all know, I have been working really, really hard on figuring out what books my local library has on Audible versus what books I really, really need to read this month before it goes away. So I have decided to change my BIPOC author. I was going to do The Cheeky King by Nana Malone, but I'm going to be listening to Audible like crazy this month. Like that's really all I'm going to be doing if I can help it. So I have decided that because Brittany C. Cherry is not at my local library, I want to get through as many books by her as I can. So I'm going to read Behind the Bars instead. And so I'm going to start that this evening. Yeah, for some reason, Brittany C. Cherry just is not at my local library, which makes me incredibly sad. Thankfully, my local library, I have like Hoopla, Libby, and Overdrive all downloaded onto my phone. And it's super weird because my local library, I'm in Oklahoma, and I'm in the suburb of Oklahoma City. So I get like the big metropolitan library, which has a ton of ebooks, thankfully. So I'll always have plenty to listen to, but like LJ Shin, Brittany C. Cherry, a lot of these indie authors are not on there. So it's just a matter of me trying to get through as many of them as I can. But it's super weird because out of those 3 different apps, like there's certain audiobooks that are on one that aren't on the other. So if you are going in and doing your library, just want to give you the heads up that you may want to download all 3, because a book may not be on one, but it might be on another. It's not always the case, but I have found that I've found other books from authors that I didn't think were going to be on there or that I could get. By downloading another app, I have found that I can get them. So you might look into that. Anyway, that's all I have to update. I am going to go ahead and start my Brittany C. Cherry book tonight. And I'm still reading Liar Liar by Donna Alam, although I'm still at like 20%. I haven't really read anything at all, like I said today. So I will update you again soon. Hey y'all, it's a little later on Thursday, and just a quick update. I finished Behind the Bars by Brittany C. Cherry. And I don't know if you can tell, but I have been crying for a while. Like hardcore ugly crying. I was not prepared for the emotions this book just wrung out of me. It is the most beautiful, most precious book I've ever read. And I was not prepared. Okay, so Elliot is like the perfect book boyfriend of all time. He is a sweetheart, and just what he went through, oh boy. Yeah, I'm not really going to give anything away, but all I can say is that if you have not read Brittany C. Cherry, I don't know what you're doing, because you need to be reading her like right now. She is the most emotional author, but her books are all worth it. She is a fantastic author. Seriously, I haven't seen an author who can just wring emotions out of you like she can. It's kind of torture, but at the same time, it's so worth it. And God, she's one of my very favorite authors of all time. I adore her, and but yeah, this book is damn heart-wrenching. Okay, so that's it. I started and finished Behind the Bars today, and I'm still gonna read Liar Liar. I've got to go work for a whole 30 minutes tonight, which is crazy. But I'm gonna go do that, and then I'm gonna probably just start my ebook, or keep reading on my ebook tonight. Hey y'all, so today it is Friday, and I have a little bit to update you on. None of it really book related, or at least not like books that I've personally read since last night. As I mentioned, I finished my Brittany C. Cherry book, Behind the Bars, yesterday. Bawled my eyes out like a freaking baby. It was so good. Highly recommend it. Now, today I'm going to read something a little bit more mindless. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean like, I know that these books aren't like ridiculously emotional, tear your heart out. They also don't require a whole ton of brain power. So I'm going to focus on Defy by L.J. Shin and Bane by L.J. Shin today. Both of those two books happen to not be on my library audiobooks, and they're books that I want to go ahead and read. I don't really want to read the ebooks of them. I don't want to have to sit down and actually focus on reading them, but I do want to go ahead and finish these stories up. I have read the first 3 in the series. Defy is kind of the first like little novella that I haven't read yet. And then Bane is the 4th book in that series, so I want to go ahead and read those today. I do want to go ahead and give you a quick update on audiobooks. I spent a couple of hours yesterday working on what books my public library has through Libby, is my favorite app, but also Hoopla. Hoopla, if you don't know what that is, it is a service that your public library has, and you can use up to, depending on which library, my library allows for 8 audiobooks a month that I can use. The good thing about Hoopla is there's no waiting period. You can automatically find a book that you want to read and start reading it automatically. If your public library does not have a large selection of audiobooks and you are kind of freaking out because Audible Escapes is ending, you don't really know what to do, I will say that there are certain libraries that have a program where you pay a yearly fee to use their online services. I know Brooklyn Public Library is one of those. Houston Public Library is one of those. And if I'm not mistaken, my public library is one of those as well. I don't know if you have to go in person. You might want to look it up though if your library does not have a large selection. I can say that my Metropolitan Library in Oklahoma, it's called Metropolitan Library System, and they have up to 10,000 romance audiobooks currently. So it is a very, very large selection of audiobooks. I just recently found out, like last night, that they have like Fiona Cole and some of these authors that I couldn't even get on Audible Escapes, I now have on my romance package. They have Thoughtless by S.E. Stevens. They have Dylan Allen and Kennedy Bryan, and they also have major romances like The Beach Read that is really popular. They've got that one out. Anyway, they have a whole bunch of titles for romance and for others as well, and it's just a really good selection. I'm really, really excited about how many books there were that I didn't even know, I had no clue on. So I was just taking advantage of Audible Escapes, and any books that weren't on Audible Escapes, I was just reading on either my ebook or reading the physical books of it. And I was not taking advantage of the library system, which is really, really stupid of me. But now that Audible Escapes is ending, I have actually gone in and looked up all of the authors that are on my TBR list to see what books my library has. And I found out that I have like 750 books on my TBR list, and out of those 750 books, a half to 3/4 of them were on my public library audiobook system. So I have a ton of audiobooks I can read. I think I am sucking at this Kindle clear out readathon because I haven't even finished one Kindle book this week. I just haven't really had the time to sit down and read, but I really, really want to read these Audible books before they go away, so that's what my focus is on. I am choosing books that I do actually have in my Kindle, but I'm just reading them on Audible Escapes instead of just my Kindle. So I am still at least doing the Kindle clear out part of it correctly because they are all books that I actually have on my Kindle. But what am I gonna do? That hopefully I'm not cheating by doing this. Hopefully you guys are at least still somewhat entertained. If you would like to have more information on the libraries that do have a membership for a fee, even if you don't live in that city, just let me know in the comments below and I'll kind of talk to you about it there. I've been doing a lot of research on it to see what all audiobooks I can get before I found out that my own personal library has a ton of them. Hopefully yours does as well, but if not, let me know and I will talk to you a little bit more about that. But that is all the update that I have for now. Hey y'all, it is Saturday and it is update time. I totally forgot to update you guys yesterday, but I did in fact finish both Defy and Bane by L.J. Shin. I gave Defy 4 stars. I was actually really quite surprised. There was some really cringy lines and everything, which I was expecting because I did read some of the reviews, but I won't lie, I was kind of expecting to hate this book, mainly because it is an older heroine, younger hero, and it is kind of student teacher, and they said it was insta-love. Like, I was just reading reviews and going off of them, like, I thought, oh man, I'm gonna hate this book, but I actually really enjoyed it. There were a couple of really super cringy lines that I was just like, ooh, that's not good. But for the most part, it was actually really good. It was short and kind of hot, and I actually really liked that the heroine really never apologized for the fact that she was sleeping with her student. Like, she owned that shit. Like, she knew it was kind of wrong, but at the same time, like, she's like, well, I'm doing this. It's gonna happen. It is what it is. Like, she never tried to apologize to his mom, who was the principal, about it. And I actually really appreciated that. So, yeah, I give it 4 stars. It was good. It wasn't like my favorite thing ever, but it was good. And then I read Bane by L.J. Shin. I gave this one 4 stars. I actually started giving it 5, but I think I'm going to drop it down to 4 because it just wasn't like my favorite thing ever, but it was my favorite L.J. Shin book so far. So if you are in the series and you have read a couple of the first ones and you're not sure if you want to continue, I would suggest Bane because it is by far my favorite. But yeah, I really enjoyed Jessie as a heroine. She was just very, very strong for everything that she had gone through in her life. I really liked the heroine in this story. Bane was a bad boy with a heart of gold that I really, really just loved, and yeah, I enjoyed it. And now I am starting Infatuation. This is by Lauren Rowe, and this is the Kat and Josh trilogy. It comes after the Club series. I want to go ahead and get those through on audiobook, so I did start that. I'm about 25% of the way through it. So I was going to continue on with Liar Liar by Donna Alum, and I'm still planning on continuing on with it. But I totally forgot. I was looking on BookTube yesterday, and I realized that Tamika and Jen were doing their Taboo Book Club, and they're going to be talking about the books tomorrow, and I totally forgot to read the books. So I had to put aside Liar Liar, and I have started The Wild. I'm actually halfway through it. This book is not for everybody, but I freaking love it. It is, whew, it is hot, it is taboo, it is beyond taboo, it is incest, straight up incest, and it is good. But don't read it if you're even remotely on the fence about incest, because, you know, like, it's not like stepdaddy, it is like straight up daddy, and that's not gonna be for everybody, but I'm fucked up and I love that shit, so it is what it is. I'm really excited about this one. I'm halfway through it. I'm loving it. And once I finish that one, I've got to start Like Butterfly, or Like Dragonflies, which is also by Kay Webster. And it is the second pick for the Taboo Book Club. So I will go ahead and start and finish both of those today. That is my goal. Of course, it is Saturday. It is OU day. And so I am going to be watching football as well. That's going to kind of slow down my reading some. So I do plan on at least finishing The Wild today, hopefully starting and finishing Like Dragonflies before they get to the live show tomorrow. So yeah,
that's it. That's my goal. I'm gonna go ahead and get back to watching some football.
Hey y'all, it is Sunday night. It is the final night in the Kindle Clear Out Readathon. I just got finished participating in the live show. That was a lot of fun to be able to see what everybody else was reading and talking about. Had a lot of laughs, especially at Steph's antics, and it was just a lot of fun. I also participated in the Taboo Book Club today. Not very much, I kind of missed half of that, but I did finish reading The Wild by Kate Webster yesterday. Really highly enjoyed the book. It is definitely not going to be for everybody. If you aren't really into kink or taboo or incest, like, just putting it out there, like, it ends up, I'm not giving away anything. All I'm saying is that if you're on the fence about that kind of stuff, then don't read this book at all. But if you really enjoy the dark taboo aspects, I suggest it. I liked it. It's not going to be for everybody. A lot of people won't like this book. I really, really adored it. So I gave that one 5 stars. I ended up reading 10 books during this week. So I did get a lot read and done. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed participating in this readathon. Let me know what your favorite book was. I will talk to you guys soon.